Hello, old friend, and welcome back to this episode of Presidential Speculatainment, which is going to be, you could say, part two of the Christie announcement speech series. I'm your host, Dan Winslow, and guys, there was just too much good stuff happening in that momentous event in modern history. It became evident pretty much while recording that this was going to be a two-part job. So you can call this part two. Looking at what was actually said by the man himself during his speech, asking you to make him the next leader of the free world, Christie. So, there was an effort recently in New Jersey to try and cheer up New Jerseyans. What was the medicine to cure the ailment that these New Jerseyans are suffering from? Well, it's a big dose of Christie talking about how he can help. He can help out. Remember when he was going around after Hurricane Sandy, and handing out, I don't know, crackers and cheese, and giving people socks, and I think some of that stuff got captured on camera, and he would like to do that for all Americans, and not just after a hurricane either. Who couldn't use a spare pair of socks? I'm getting kind of low in the supply registry when it comes to socks. But I will not let that hijack the subject matter of this episode. We all know here at the studio headquarters of Presidential Speculatainment and presidentialspeculatainment.com that sometimes the host can get a little long-winded or off track, off topic, off the rails. Call it what you will. And that's the nature of the job. I don't have a set script that I read from. I have some notes usually, sometimes. Maybe some newspaper clippings. It does help if I do some research ahead of time. But I just, sometimes I just got something on my mind. And anyhow, I don't know. All that other stuff about some of the finer details surrounding the speech could be found in the previous episode of Presidential Speculatainment. In this episode, I'm going to give you guys a look at Christie, not the family man, not the childhood friend of Lynn Growney, not the the idol of the communal old fanning lady, but this time Christie, the candidate, Christie, the hypothetical president. What does that look like? It's big. It's a big deal. And, some of it is kind of stuff you might expect from Christie. His reputation does precede him, from what I understand. Like he says, we are going to tell it like it is today. Kind of no nonsense, put up or shut up kind of a thing. He's got some kind of new branding stuff he's rolling out. He's got this one thing, truth and hard deeds done today lead to growth and opportunity tomorrow for everyone. Okay, so it's not going to be fun when Christie's president. It doesn't sound fun. It's tough to really dissect that one. I don't know. Truth and hard deeds. There's a guarantee of truth and hard deeds. And there's a promise of growth and opportunity later on. So you're definitely getting one of those two categories of things. Or maybe not. Maybe, maybe both of them are being falsely claimed. Or, maybe growth and opportunity will happen tomorrow if Christie puts in some hard deeds and tells some truth. Then again, maybe the Federal Reserve is going to raise interest rates later in 2015. But then again, maybe not. Christie admits that he's not perfect. But he tries to persuade people that he's resilient, or he's got a lot of perseverance. He says, I'm human, but I wake up every morning with an opportunity to do something great. The opportunity. Like, say, for instance, having a salad for lunch, right? I mean, the possibility is there to be seized by the power of will, which says, no, I will not eat that box of dozen donuts. So it's that appreciation of the option of choice, making good choices. He really appreciates the fact that he could make good choices every day. So that's another striking quality. We have a little jab at the Democratic Party. Talking about Obama. He says, he better not hand it over to his second mate, Hillary Clinton. Yeah, second mate. So who's the first mate? Would that be Joe Biden? No word out of him yet about running for president. We've got something else here. Describing the state of America. Suggesting that it's not just New Jerseyans who are a little down in the dumps, but 49 other states worth of people. Another way, I guess you could say that, the way Christie did, would be to say that the horse is out of the barn. We gotta get it back in. And we can always do it by force. What? What? Okay. Okay. I hope it's not too much force. This is not an animal show, but I can even tell you that horses are easily spooked. I've done a little bit of riding in my day. I can tell you one thing. I do not envy the horse that is ridden by Christie. So, yeah, maybe the next time Christie wants to make a metaphor, maybe he should pick an animal that doesn't get sat on by, let's say, for instance, Christie. Because, if you think about a horse and then you think about Christie, but then you think about both a horse and Christie in the same thought, then suddenly it's easy to imagine that Christie is just, he's standing next to, but then he's sitting on the horse. And guys, I've got a heart, and you guys, I aspire to believe that you guys have got some feelings for animals, and being mean to animals. So we don't like that when animals are treated kind of, too forcefully. And then, speaking about vital organs, Christie comments about his cardiac condition. Not his condition, just about his whole overall situation. If you give me the privilege every day, not only with my heart strong and my mind sharp, but my ears open and my arms open. So he's claiming he's got a strong heart. And that very well may be true. Because I would think that it was strong. Very strong, in order to basically work that kind of overtime to keep the pistons running on that bodily operation. And also there at the end, we got a little picture of Christie sort of giving you a big hug. He says arms open wide, or just, excuse me, they're not wide, they're just open. And he looks very huggable. I could fall into his arms and maybe just cry for a little while about, that I haven't yet moved out of New Jersey. And just staying there, maybe for the afternoon, just wrapped up in total huggability. I said before in episode, I think number 7, that I'm not judging Christie based on his habits, eating habits. If he's got a vice, hey, we all got vices. But if he takes down a whole box of donuts for lunch, I'm cool with that. If I'm his friend or just as a person, I'm not judging him. I'm not going to be judgmental on a more factual, objective basis, I would beg the question if any health-related liability would affect a job performance, which is about a job that would affect my livelihood. So, just to spell it out, like a presidency is a job, and the president, affects yours truly. For instance, I gotta put up with these fluorescent light bulbs. So, if you get somebody who does a bad job, then I suddenly have an issue on my hands. And so friends, whatever, I couldn't care less. If you're fat, I don't care. I got a lot of fat friends. But if you're my president, I just would hope that you didn't have, a higher chance of dying in office. And back to the facts, if you are fat, then you do have a higher chance of dying. And there's a distinction between, overweight and obese. I think Christie would fall into the latter category. Doesn't matter to me on a personal level, but it matters on a medical chart. And actually, this was, I guess, confronted by Christie in some kind of a press event because some reporter asked him, "Hey, what do you make of these comments made about you by this former, I guess, she's like this White House doctor. I forget what her name is, but she said that she would be concerned about Christie's health if he was in office, specifically, his cardiac health, which is how we got on this subject about the whole heart thing. And she just basically said she would be worried. And then Christie's response, if I just skipping to the end, he says that she should shut up. But before he tells his doctor to shut up and basically stop calling him fat, he dismisses her assessment because he said that she had not examined him or looked through his medical charts and records. And so I guess his argument was like, oh, this doctor thinks she can just size me up. She thinks that she can just take a look at me and just tell whether or not I have health risks. If he had another condition, Mitt Romney's wife, for instance, she has MS, multiple sclerosis. Couldn't tell by looking at her. Very nice lady. Seems totally on top of it. I would have no idea that she had some kind of medical thing going on. There's other conditions in the medical area that we could say the same thing about. Weight. Specifically being overweight or being obese. It has a certain symptom to it where it doesn't require, rubber gloves and test tubes and a microscope. You could tell if somebody is experiencing symptoms of obesity just by looking at them. You don't even have to look at them in person. You can just see them on the TV screen and say, okay, that's that person. That's a chair. Okay, looks like a standard chair. Okay, now that's that person's size compared to the size of that chair. Oh, okay. All right. So there is the relevant part of Christie's weight. That's the relevant part, not whether or not, he's like some kind of object to be ridiculed over it. That's just not cool, to do that. It is a medical inquiry. He also says, as a part of that remark, that he'll be a president who, talking about our countrymen and women, not only speaks to them, but who hears them. Their voices is what makes any American president great. That's ironic, though, because Growney, who is apparently supposed to be some kind of long-time friend of Chris since growing up, she said it's not easy to get him on the phone these days. Christie's not easy to get on the phone these days if you're his old pal from the glory days. So how easy could it be to get an audience with the governor and future president if you're just some random schmo? I think you would have to ask Growney about that, but it doesn't sound easy. I guess other parts of his speech, he talked about growing up in Jersey, talked about his pops was an ice cream maker. The country needs to work together again, yada, yada, yada. His tenure in New Jersey, when he took over 6 years ago, saying that the 8 years prior to the 6 years ago when he took over, taxes and fees had been raised 115 times in New Jersey. But for all 6 years, Christie balanced 6 budgets and raised no taxes. Did not raise taxes. Or wait, no, he said no new taxes. So I guess we don't know if on this show at least, if existing taxes were raised. In any case, so he's given himself credit for that. I would beg the question. Number one, okay, nice going. I guess we just asked our first one. Did you raise existing taxes? Question 2. How many taxes did you repeal? Question 3. Was it easy to balance those 6 budgets with so many brand new taxes bringing in the cash for you? Is there maybe a little bit of a coattail kind of situation to on which to ride? I don't know. Seems like a distinct possibility. So, I think that's about all I have to report about, the speech and the content Yeah, 4% or greater GDP is the desire. Boring. So the speech ends. Um, and then, you know, Christie walks off. His wife, Mary Pat, she does like this little kind of wavy dance with her arms to the music. So the family clears out of there. It's an empty bare stage. Oh, but right before that, Christie gets in just like quick 20 handshakes. But I will say that a couple people were discriminated against by Christie on the date of his announcement speech, and were totally shortchanged and only given a high five. So that can't be taken back now. They had to go home with that chip in recent memory. After the family gets off and Christie gets off, it looks just like one of those post speech kind of a scenes where the candidate then spends about 1.5 seconds on average with one person to the next, and everyone kind of swarms around him. And actually, the bum rush was on such a level where my second most favorite moment happened. The first favorite, you gotta listen to the last episode, because it involved an old lady fanning somebody else with I forgot to mention this, but she was fanning somebody with a Christie sign. It was amazing. But my second favorite would be at this point, right after the speech, some photographer wants to get a good shot of Christie, and so he jumps up on the stage to do it, and he's got this back sweat stain. It was beautiful. It was really just one of those pictures that tells 1,000 words. Another picture you could even look at to tell you that story would just be the deserted stage, after the Christies go back into the wings, and just watching the Christie supporters just disassemble, and kind of chat with each other, or look for the exits, or bump into somebody and an old friend, and just watching this scene kind of crumble apart. It was a picture of just sadness in America. And I guess that's where we're at. So that's all for now. That will be the second and last segment about the presidential campaign announcement speech from a one Christopher Christie. Please subscribe to this podcast, or the YouTube channel, or please actually, if you wouldn't mind terribly, just maybe give me a 5 out of 5 star on the old iTunes or Apple, thing. Apparently, I'm supposed to have that from more than 2 people, even though a lot more than that are listening. I can tell you that. Or check out the website. I do have some written material and some drawn stuff. I will be coming back at you with the latest and hopefully some of the greatest moments from this crazy, ongoing, seemingly never-ending grab for the top job in America. President. You want it, don't you? Someday. Until that day, and until the other day, voting day, tune in. You know where to find me.